Howdy, I'm Matt, and in this episode, well, as you can see from the screen, we are on board with the Skywalker Sirius. Now, the reason why I bought this model, and I've got it next to me, and what I'm going to be doing is providing some narration as we go for a little potter around FPV with her, which we flew on the weekend. Absolutely stunning. So, first thing to notice is that we got a nice little bit of height on, and it's just an absolute kitten in the sky. Now, I do want to make a point here that the weather was fantastic and there was very little wind, and this is also exactly the reason why I bought her. I just wanted something big and floaty just to chill out with, and that's exactly what I did for the first part of the flight. I've chopped out the first bit, but you'll see me, I've just ducked my nose down because I've had enough of pottering around, and we're going to go for a little fly around. Now, while I'm doing that, I do have the Skywalker Sirius next to me, so let's talk about price point. I did check on Banggood on my other screen here this morning, and currently it's on the Banggood website for $47 plus $1 something at 36 shipping. So I actually bought mine for about $36, something like that, when it first came out. Yeah, I'm super impressed. Now, she's here with me. What I'm going to quickly do is just quickly go from the tail to the nose, and we'll go through the specs. Now, also, while I'm doing this, keep in the back of your mind that I only used about 40. Sorry, it said 53% when I landed it, so I used 47% of a 4000 3S pack. Get me words right. So as you can see, we're going for a little bit of a journey, and it was absolutely amazing. Anyway, starting from the tail. Oh, there goes Dave and his Hornet, a little FPV wing, went flying by. Okay, in the tail we've got the MG90S servos. Now, I'll put links to everything which we're talking about here in the video description for you. The one thing which I didn't like about this model, my major complaint, was the servo hole for the rudder servo was, it was obviously a servo which I've never come across, so I dug that out and dug it upwards in there. Oh, we've just gone through the bottom of Suicide Strait, and I can see that we're going to be having a go at Dead Man's Arm. And this is going to be like the general theme of this flight, is that it's slow and it's low. Very enjoyable. What else did I do? Oh, I did put a strip of carbon fibre in the elevator fin as well. Now, moving into the middle, I did make one screw up with this model, which is that I've been and corrected that now, but I needed to take the knife out, and you'll see the yellow glue marks around that section there. That's where the servo leads end up, is underneath that flat block. And underneath there, I had to cut that out because I did pull one of the leads too hard, and it did come unstuck. Or did come away from the servo connector wire. So I have been in there, and I've been and put hot glue in there and caps on tape. It's never coming undone again now. As far as the motor goes, I'm using a SunnySky 1400 kV motor, which I will fully admit that it's slightly underpowered with the 7x4 prop, and that is the maximum size propeller which you can get on the back of this one, is a 7-inch propeller. Obviously, a higher kV, something around about 1700 kV motor would probably be more suitable with this kind of motor on, with that size propeller. But that said, it is underpowered on 3S, and you can see how low I'm flying at the moment. So it is slightly underpowered, but that does mean that I could run it on 4S if I wanted to, and I'm not going to stress the motor too much. The ESC is mounted up here on the top. I love that because that's really good air. A lot high airflow location, keeps the ESC nice and cool. If you buy one, make sure when you got the two halves together is to glue. Oh, there we go. There's Dead Man's Arm again. I can see her in the background. Make sure that you glue in one side of the motor mount first and screw in the bottom two screws of the motor, and then run the cables across and just tap them in with a little bit of tape to begin with, and that will make connecting your motor an awful lot easier. Moving forwards towards the nose, well, actually, I'm just going to point out, I've just put some glass fibre tape up underneath, which I hope you can see there. There is a mount for some landing gear, which was provided, but I will never use, so I did stick it in there. It adds a little bit of extra rigidity to the bottom. On the top, you'll see that we've got some FPV system going on. We'll get to that in just a moment, but the thing which I really want to share with you is look at the size of the cavern in there. Now, I'm running this with a 4000 LIHV battery, a 3S, which means that I can get about 40 minutes worth of flight time out of this minimum. It's absolutely crazy because it's such a big, it's got a 1.5 meter wingspan, because it is such big and a big and floaty model. You can potter around, and also if you wanted to go further than that, obviously you could put 4S in there. There's plenty of room for a flight control board up underneath there. That's very easy to get at, which you can just about make on the web camera. You could also put another battery pack. So the C of G is 55mm away from the leading edge of the wing. Now, because of the size of that cavern in there, you could put your receiver in there, your flight controller in there if you wanted to use one, and you could also put another battery right underneath the CG. And Matt seems to be chasing some birdies around, flying vermin. Anyway, so then we get back in there. Absolutely great big hold inside. I was genuinely surprised of how the ease of accessing there. Obviously, it's a bit tighter as you go further back, but yeah, it's massive in there. Now, as far as FPV goes, you will notice a few little lines on the screen. That's obviously because we've got reception issues, because I am flying quite low at times. But I've got the TX526 video transmitter on the top of here. I absolutely love that. I mean, look, looks like we're going down Suicide Straight. Good boy. In fact, I remember doing this. We're going to duck left in a moment and then go for another set of trees. Yeah, just that one there, Matt. Go on, left, 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 left. Ah, good boy. Good boy. Sorry, it's really nice going back and watching this one, because this is one of the reasons why I bought it. I bought this model. Just wanted something nice, big and floaty. And it turns out that I can... Oh, there's Dave in his Hornet FPV wing. Is that I just wanted something big and floaty just to dart around off that far off the ground, or get up high and just enjoy the view, you know? Anyway, video transmitter, the 526, absolutely brilliant, switchable. It's got the little button on the back. It's not the little switches, it's push button, and you can change between 25, 200 and 600 milliwatts. On there you can change the channel and the band super easily as well. Now, the FPV camera is the Runcam Owl Plus. I just had a double check there. Runcam Owl Plus. I know it's a premium FPV camera, but the video quality is absolutely fantastic. Now, there's a free fat ladies, which we've got there to the right, and obviously the signal will break up as we go round those. Now, do note that is a premium FPV camera, but that day which we were flying on, it was heavily overcast, and you can see how bright the greens are, and the colours really popping out on the screen. Absolutely fantastic. So that is the general overview. Yeah, 1.5 meter wingspan, huge, great big cavernous area which we've got inside of this model. I could put a flight control board in there, I could put a stabilizer in there. Currently I've got an X8R in there, which is a bit overkill, to be honest. Yeah, it's everything which I expected it to be. As far as build time, probably about an hour, maybe a little bit longer. We've just done Dead Man's Arm again. If we exclude sort of time to wait for the glue to stick together. Now, I did use Yoo-hoo port, and one of the negatives, and again, this model's a bit big to get on my screen, which you can just about probably see. There's lots of yellow pee-pee stains going on. That's because Yoo-hoo port does react with sunlight, and it does go yellow, and I can see down here we're back into Suicide Straight again. Now, this model is a bit too big to go on and take through balls deep, for example. Those of you which know I fly on occasion, there's a hole between some trees and it's a bit tight, to say the least. Anyway, just looking at the screen here, can you see how super stable she is? Now, the other thing which I liked about this model is that it's got a rudder on it. Now, that sounds really strange. Matt, why are you mentioning a rudder? Well, I normally fly flying wings, and there's absolutely... Oh, yeah, do you see I just hit the tree then? Did you see it just shake? And I'm not using any tape or any sticking mechanism to hold the wings in. They're just push fit in, and it's quite a good fit, so I've left them at that. And as you saw, we just nipped a tree, and the wing didn't fall off, you know. Anyway, coming back to my point, is that it's nice and slow. It's super stable. you could definitely do some long range stuff with this because the hold on it is absolutely massive. I only used 47% of the battery during this flight, and this flight was about 15 minutes in total, probably a little bit more if I include the mucking around on the flight line beforehand with the battery plugged in. It is, I would class it as slightly underpowered at the moment because of the 1400 kV motor and a 7x4 propeller on the back. And yeah, there's a bit of breakup, but that's to be expected because we're flying right behind me at the moment. But once it gets in the sky, oh, there is a little bit of jello as well. I do need to go and recheck the balance on that propeller because there is a little bit of jello in the FPV footage. But it's not that noticeable, and you may not even, excuse me, you may not have even noticed that until I mentioned it. So you can see I've got a bit of height on. Hopefully we come back down low again. And again, this is the reason why I bought this one. I just wanted something just to potter around with. And that's exactly what I did. And oh, there's Craig. That looks like Craig's model flying down there. So I'll turn around and see if I can pick it around. And look, you can see that it is nimble when you need it to be nimble. So obviously I've been picked up a target, so I don't know how long we're going to end up following Craig around. Craig does tend to keep it within the one field, so that he doesn't have to walk too far. And again, he's just building up his confidence at the moment. And you'll see, oh, there goes Dave over the top of my head, is that you'll see how low I am getting down to the ground, and that's how kind of like testament to how much confidence I've got with the model, because it is just super stable. There was a slight breeze. Now I can't remember the breeze at that point in time, but I was using quite a bit of rudder. Yeah, the breeze was coming in from the right at that point in time, so I was using rudder quite a bit just to crab it across. And that was going back to my earlier point about, Matt, why you're excited about having a rudder, is that it's another flying dimension, if that makes sense. If you think that I'm normally just used to flying wings, is that, yeah, having some rudder control or rudder authority is actually quite nice at times, to be perfectly honest. And being able to do that with this model was really cool. And as you can see, I'm just sat here with a cup of coffee and I'm just replaying and enjoying the flight which we had with it. Now, after we landed, we went on and flew a couple of other models, but I went back and stuck the 4000 milliamp 3S pack, which I stuck in the nose of that one. Is that I went on and I had another flight just like this one, slow and low. Absolutely brilliant. It's a great way of homing your skills because it means that you get used to where you're flying, and you can also learn to react to different circumstances. And because you are flying slower, you can prepare for later on when you're maybe taking an absolute crazy model through a similar route or similar path around the flying site. There we go. There's Dead Man's Arm there on the right hand side. You don't normally see that in the camera to the very last moment. Anyway, coming back to my point, slow and low. It allows you to learn your flying location, and of course then when you're doing that at, say, like 90 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour in a different model, is that, you know, oh, I remember there was a little branch there, so you're going to go duck and back over. And it also means that we can investigate the trees is here as well, because the trees are now starting to, because we've got summer here in the United Kingdom. Nice move, Matt. Because we've got the summer on the way to us right now, the trees are starting to produce their leaves. And of course that's changing the dynamics of the flying location as well. Now I can see the timer. We are going to be landing very, very shortly. Skywalker Sirius, absolutely love it. Look, you can just see me just darting in and out of the trees. Absolutely brilliant. I bought it for some just slow FPV flight. There, that was definitely rudder in there. Did you see how much I got the back end round on it? I'm doing the same here as well. That's why I like using a bit of rudder. You can rudder it around the corner. Anyway, my point is, it's slow, it was super cheap, it does everything which I wanted it to do, and the fuselage is absolutely huge. Actually, before we go, because we've got a landing coming up, the one thing which I may have changed if I did this again is that I would have put the FPV camera right in the front of the nose, but I didn't do that during the build stage, so maybe learn from my mistake on that one. That's something which I would probably do if I was making it around again. And as you can see, landing it, absolute kitten. That's exactly why I bought it. So on that note, from myself, Matt, thank you ever so much for watching, and I shall see you again shortly. Oh, if you have enjoyed this episode, or if you have any questions about the Skywalker Sirius, please just ask. Remember, I bought this model out of my own money for my own purposes, and which we've just been and seen. Absolutely enjoy it. I'm leaving this in. This is as real as I can make it. Absolutely enjoyable. It has done everything which I wanted it to do. As such, I'm very happy. So any questions which you've got about this model, please let me know in the comments section underneath this video. And I'll put the full specification underneath there for what I've used. And like I said, the only thing which I would change actually now, if I was to build mine again, is that I would have cut in and made the mount for the Runcam Owl Plus in the actual nose itself. In the very front of the nose. That's the only thing which I would change on my build, which I can't readily do because I've glued it all together. So learn by my mistake on that one. Besides that, big, floaty, perfect. And on that note, from myself, Matt, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this episode, and I'll see you again shortly. Cheerios!